This is really complicated stuff, and all of us are different. So and even you could still get a diagnosis of Parkinson's medicated and not have Parkinson's. You might have something that looks like Parkinson's and acts like Parkinson's, but it might not be Parkinson's. And it's really important that you get the right treatment for whatever you have going on. So for everybody that is either been diagnosed or thinks they might be diagnosed or knows somebody that is having some problems that needs to go to a neurologist and needs to go to movement disorder specialist, I can't recommend it enough. That was a critical point in my treatment.
Mm. So if I could ask you a question, it's Mike here. You mentioned the movement disorder specialist. That's never been mentioned to me, either by my doctor or the neurologist. And it was also interesting that the first person that actually really thought I had Parkinson's was my sports physiotherapist. She looked straight away and she just felt my arm. She says, "That's coming from your brain. It's not an injury." And she was the first one. So I find that really interesting as to who picked that up. But what would a movement disorder specialist, for example, give me that a neurologist couldn't?
Medicine management. The meds are really, everybody has a different cocktail of meds that works for them. And general neurologists, some of them know about all the variety of medicines available, but movement disorder specialists go to Parkinson's conferences. They do research, at least the ones in UBC, they do research in this area. I see them at the World Parkinson's Congress. I see them doing online webinars for Parkinson specific stuff. So, and they're the experts on the med management. The general neurologists, they're general neurologists. They're not focusing solely on the medicines that are available for Parkinson's patients. So, I think it sounds like you're in really good hands, but you might be able to step up your care a little bit more if you have a specialist that focuses on what your condition is.
Well, I mentioned in my presentation there that I was having trouble balancing my diet with the levodopa. Now, Alana arranged for a webinar with the UBC pharmacy, and I got involved with the UBC pharmacy through Alana, and I've had private consultations with them. They've set them up for about every 4 months, and they talk about medication and diet. The pharmacists who specialize in knowing about Parkinson's. So I found a lot of good information from those people. The second thing I want to point out, you mentioned, Debbie, CBD oil. Interesting experience with my doctor who just absolutely just went, a lot of rubbish spoken about that. And the neurologist, when I mentioned it to him, he said, "No, nothing's proven," both of them. And then, of course, I got involved and I've benefited from it by getting to, through the cannabis doctor in Victoria. What I found fascinating, now that was last September, when I went back to both the doctor and neurologist recently, they both were more receptive. They actually asked me how I was feeling, and the neurologist this week was very receptive to it. So something's happened, where they've either become self-educated or they've attended something. There's been a switch. So.
We have a question for Mark. Mark, I have a question here from Elizabeth. She would like to ask you, what is the most annoying thing your care spouse does? And she's laughing.
That's me. What's the most annoying thing I do? We should ask me. We need to ask Angela that. I think she may say, "Don't do everything for me. Let me do it." I think that could be the most annoying thing. Yeah, that's what I think she would say. Yeah. Sorry, I can't be more than that because obviously that's what I would think. Yeah. I would just say as well, okay. on the movement disorder specialist side, that has been so life-giving for Angela to be connected with the team out at UBC and the movement disorder specialist unit there. It's been so helpful, and they've been so life-giving. So I would, as Gina was saying, I encourage you wherever possible to try and get in with an MDS group.
Okay, thank you. And Carolyn says, thanks so much. Thanks for your openness and willingness to tell your stories. Ellen is saying it was interesting to hear the panel's insights on Parkinson's. You have to adapt. Yes, that is a key message that was shared. And Elizabeth is saying, also, where did you get your best information on how to handle the drugs? Does anyone want to take that one? So where did you get the best information on how to handle the drugs?
So, I mean, everywhere and anywhere. Other people that have tried similar drugs, it's really good to ask people, that's kind of like the first thing, the icebreaker at a lot of these conferences is, especially among the young people. We just, because we're still working and raising children and running around trying to exercise like crazy. So drugs is a big part of our conversations. But what for me, obviously the internet's a great resource to read about the drugs. I go to a lot of different, service providers. I have a movement disorder specialist in UBC. Right now I'm in Texas, and I saw a movement disorder specialist in California to try some other drugs that are only available in the US and they're not available in Canada. And likewise, I've learned that there are drugs that are available in Canada that are not available in the US. So those are really good information resources. A friend of mine that I met through the Parkinson's community is a nurse practitioner at this clinic in California, and she's been really, really helpful with guiding me towards medicine that might work for me. There's just so much medication out there and we're not pharmacists, we're not neurologists, so it's really important to just try a variety of different resources, whether it's books, written materials, people, experts, and just kind of gather your information slowly from all different sources. And then when you go to your doctor or when you meet with a nurse practitioner or a nurse at your clinic, then you can say, hey, I heard about this. Is this appropriate for me? Or I heard about, I talked to this person, they're taking this for that. What do you think? Would that be appropriate for my treatment plan? It'll kind of help them, I think, a little bit if they know that you're willing to try different things and you're doing your research and you know what's out there.
Thanks, Gina. Wayne says, thank you for sharing your Parkinson's disease life with us. It is so important to know others have the same feelings and trials as we do. Big thank you. And Rick also says, thank you. Very helpful to hear everyone's method of handling their journey. And let's see here if there's another question. Debbie, do you work with a movement disorder specialist? Susan is asking.
Yes, I do. I'm in Kelowna, but Dr. Weil is also he's our neurologist in Kelowna, and he is also connected to the UBC clinic. So yes, I do definitely have a movement disorder specialist now, and it does make a huge difference because they're zeroed in on exactly what you've got. And I just to say about how do you manage the medication, somebody asked a question about that. One of the ways that I've really learned about medication is through my women's support group. It's a very small group of people, and we are at various stages. Two of the people have had, one's had DBS and one has had the Leva or the duodopa feeding gel inserted, and some are at various stages of Parkinson's. And just to hear how they've balanced stuff, how they've some of the drugs, the adverse reactions of some of the drugs. And I think I've made a decision that I want to keep it as simple as possible for me. I don't want to play around with a lot of stuff in my brain yet. So I just stick to the levodopa and controlled release basically, and a patch. So that works for me for now. If I need more, and I probably will eventually, then I'll get more. But right now it's keep it simple, stupid. That's my theory.
And Debbie, she's also wondering how often you see the movement disorder specialist.
I have an annual appointment, and one thing I do, and I've been doing it for the past few years, I keep a special journal online for myself about my symptoms. And so if I see big changes or anything, I document them. Every once in a while, I'll go in maybe every 6 or 8 weeks, and I'll do a complete summary for 3 days of my symptoms and what my daily hourly is like, or my periods between medications, how I've increased my medications, my weight, because honestly, exercise would never have lost the weight that I've lost. I've probably lost 30 pounds because of the tremor, and I don't mind it at all. I don't miss those 30 pounds at all. So keeping a journal is important for me too, and I think it helps to look back and help your neurologist.
Great, thank you. So lots of thank yous in the chat box for all of our speakers today. Again, thank you so much, everyone, Gina, Mark, Debbie, and Mike. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us and sharing those important messages with our audience. Thank you all for attending. We're just approaching 12 o'clock here. Thank you so much for your questions and comments, and for supporting our panel speakers today by attending.